internet, welcome to Java Theory, where today we are going to finally explore the age-old question, how old is Nicholas?
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why.
Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. Woo!
So, in case you couldn't tell from the introduction and theme song,
Indeed.
for the uninitiated, you heathens, I mean, dear listeners,
I think I would agree with you, Nick, if you called them heathens, because they are
Yep.
heathens for not having heard of
game theory,
game theory.
or the theory channels in general.
Yes.
This is in honor of
Yes.
Matthew Patrick, aka MatPat.
You're sure it's not Matthew Patthew?
Matthew Patthew. It could be any number of names that he has acquired. Oh,
Yes.
but so when I was looking, researching this, he's been putting out theories for 13 years.
Damn.
At least that's the oldest that I
You
could
know,
find.
I can only imagine us doing this kind of content for the next 13
Yeah.
years, right?
No
But-
wonder he sold the channels.
Yeah. And, okay, so he's clearly passionate about, this kind of stuff, right? And full disclosure, I did not watch the very first Game Theory,
Yeah.
nor was I exposed to Game Theory, from the very beginning.
So here, just a quick tangent.
Yeah.
I was exposed to game theory about 10 years ago.
Damn.
So I was still watching when it was just game theory, before film theory came about, definitely before food or style theory came about, even before he started doing live streams.
Yes, the GT Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the one that got me exposed to it was a Zelda theory about how much the rupees are.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah.
the introduction. And then, so I used to do this when I watched YouTube back in the day. I'd find a video and then I'd deep dive into the channel and just watch all of the videos
Yeah.
as much as I could.
I do the
So,
same thing, full disclosure. I just do the same thing because, going back to my point earlier about how I was not exposed to game theory at first, I was exposed to film theory, mostly because I was a little, child when I was, when I first watched the theory channels, and it was, a lot of SpongeBob memes and, other stuff like that. And so that's why I was mostly exposed to film theory rather than game theory.
To be fair, do you know what the first film theory was? Do you remember what it was?
I don't think I remember what it was, but the first film theory that I did watch, I think it was Willy Wonka's, how he rigged the golden tickets.
Well, it's funny that you say that because that's on my top 5 list.
Oh yeah, that's so hilarious. Okay,
So you probably figured out what we're going to do by that little sentence there.
Yes.
We're going to go through our top 5 theories
Yes.
across the theory channels.
yes, but go on about your point about
So the very first one on film theory was and unfortunately by the time he released it, it was quite a well-known theory that other
Okay.
people knew, is that Neville Longbottom could potentially have been the chosen one.
That's crazy. The first theory was on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah. So okay. So Neville Longbottom could have been the chosen one. What was that about? How does that?
so he was born on the same day. He was
as
also
Harry
born on
Potter,
the
yeah.
31st of July. The exact same day,
Yes.
because they were both born the same year. The prophecy that said that Harry Potter could be the chosen one could very easily have matched onto Neville,
Yeah.
because Voldemort had to choose between the two of them. And if he had gone and killed the Longbottoms,
Yes.
then it would have made Neville the chosen one.
I don't think Neville Longbottom and the Cursed Child or whatever
Yeah.
that musical Harry Potter is on Broadway, right, would have appealed to audiences, or even the very first book, right, which is Neville Longbottom and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Philosophers, which, to be fair, when I was 7 reading that book, I couldn't say philosophers, so
Yeah.
I kept saying Phosophilus.
Phosophilus.
Because I couldn't say philosophers.
think-
Again, to be fair, at that age, I also couldn't say hedgehog. I kept saying hodgehog. So I'm surprised that I
And
couldn't
until
say
this
philosopher.
day, there's a word you still can't say.
Indeed.
Yes.
You could say that word is my enemy.
You're an Eminem.
It's an
Go. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, we are going to be going over our top 5 MatPat videos.
Indeed.
Not just so I don't think we included the new theory episodes without MatPat. simply because we want to dedicate this to him and
Absolutely.
him alone.
Especially
right?
because the reason I have so much respect for him is because even at the beginning, when it was just game theory,
Yes.
he was putting out a video every single week, which
Yes.
included all the research, watching all of the videos, and this was
Yeah.
before he had editors, so he had to
Yeah.
edit them all himself.
That's crazy because, like, because I did go back and watch the very first Game Theory, especially when he was retiring. He was looking back at his old videos, and then that theme song is like, "I'll be back in time."
And do you remember the gaming's tangential?
Tangential
learning experience.
yeah.
Bless
And then
him.
it was like a PowerPoint presentation that he put up, and I
Yeah.
can fully imagine a young MatPat just doing that in his bedroom to like his parents or something.
Yeah.
And then he puts it out on the internet.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
So we love MatPat here.
Absolutely.
We're big fans of him, and even though he's been retired for like some time now,
Just over a year.
just over a year,
Yeah.
we still wanted to honor him here.
And especially because, so going on from that game theory moment, so then he started film theory. So then he was putting out at least 2 videos a week. Then he started streaming. So he was doing 2 videos and the stream.
Yeah.
Then food theory. So 3 videos and the stream.
Yes.
And then style theory. So 4 videos and the streaming. So even with the team, you've got a ridiculous amount of content. So when I did
yeah.
YouTube, I was doing 2 videos a week. Nowhere near the amount of research that he was doing.
Yeah.
Because I was just looking up what happened in football that week.
Duh.
Or soccer.
Soccer.
And so the amount of work that he was doing when he was by himself was ridiculous.
I was going to brag and say that we put up 5 shorts in a week, right? And we also put up a full-length episode. But to be fair, right, these episodes are, getting to an hour long, on average. But, we don't do research. I mean, we kind of, sort of do research, but
What do you
never...
mean? We're in the library.
Yeah, sure. But like, not in the level that MatPat has, because
No.
we don't make up any theory. We just choose a topic to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And, the videos, 3 of them are previews, so I just select like little snippets. And then 2 of them, one of them doesn't really require a lot of research because, Underrated is, it's movie recommendations. You can see any movie's plot readily available.
But to be fair,
And
I
then-
think, you're selling yourself short because of the amount of work that you put into it.
Yeah.
All the editing and effects and everything.
Yeah,
But that's like, we're at the very beginning of our journey.
that's true.
So we're at the point of
Yeah.
gaming's tangential learning experience, from way back in the day.
Yes, exactly.
So we're still in the
the infancy.
infancy, exactly.
Yeah. Jinx, you
So-
owe me a soda. But so we're at that point, right? But putting out like even just 5 shorts a week is nothing compared to what MatPat put out, because he's putting out he's putting out 4 videos a week, sure. But those are like 20-minute episodes.
Yeah. With all of the research onto history and psychology and physics and all of the other things that...
I'm sure he also writes the scripts himself.
I mean, he did the bloody biology of Baby Shark to say that
Right.
it was adopted.
I think I think if he still did all the editing himself at that level and putting out that much content, I don't think he would have done it every week. He probably would have done it once a year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So...
Crazy, but mad respect for
Absolutely.
MatPat.
Mad respect.
Yes.
So before we start, because as I was saying to Gerard before we started recording, if I had been left to my own devices, I could have made a list of like 25 videos. So I did want to do some honorable mentions before we get started.
I just imagine you like having a list of like 20 plus videos, sitting alone here and like talking to the mic, like, okay, so then the next video is this. This is about this and this. And then you would just make like a 3-hour episode about it.
It would be like that, what is it? Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's got the Phoebe Sylvia board behind him.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy.
The signs are there.
And he just like pointing like, yeah.
The dots connect.
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah, go on to your honorable mentions.
honorable mention number 1 is the entire Five Nights at Freddy's series.
Yes. That blew up. Okay,
Yeah.
the first one that he did, I already forgot which one he did because he did so many of those Five Nights at
Well,
Freddy's.
here, I can tell you, the very first FNAF theory, FNAF theory,
Yes.
was about FNAF 1.
Yeah, okay.
And
The original FNAF.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It was relating it to a real life set of murders in California.
Oh.
It was a dark theory.
Okay, so you know what's funny? Because we say it FNAF as a joke, but that actually checks because It's Freddy Fazbear.
Yeah.
So Five Nights at Freddy Fazbear's.
FNAF.
Yeah, FNAF.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there you go.
So, but do you know the other thing? And you'll probably know this because of the retirement series of episodes.
Yes.
There was a poll between Five Nights at Freddy's and do you know what the other franchise was?
Backrooms?
Slenderman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So the theory was meant to be how tall is Slenderman?
Yeah.
So it was between FNAF and how tall is Slenderman. And I don't know what the final result was, but I know it was close. It was like a Brexit level of close
Dude,
votes.
because during that time, right, it was like a weird, like very gaming heavy time on YouTube.
100%.
And I had my obsession, right? I had like my own obsession with like PewDiePie playing Slenderman and him also playing like Amnesia. Yeah. Dude, freaking Barrel. That Barrel jokes are still...
Stefano. That was the trophy's name. I was trying to think what the trophy was
and then around that time, he also released a montage of like, it was like a funny montage, right? And it was just... I was cackling as like a 13-year-old.
Peak like 2011 to 2014 PewDiePie was just...
There you go.
Top draw.
Yeah. We gotta like, do this for PewDiePie as well.
Oh, 100%.
Or some of
I'm
our
game
other...
for that.
Yeah.
So...
Your game theory for that? Hey. Where's our... That's the wrong button, Nick. It's...
There you go.
There you go.
It works. So because the FNAF theories,
Yes.
if he hadn't have done that, it could have sent his channel in a completely different direction.
Right.
Not to say that it wasn't popular, because I think at that point he already had 3 to 5 million subscribers.
Yeah.
But that FNAF, it changed the channel's trajectory.
Well, yeah, because so I don't think there's a game that was such a simple premise at first and developed so many different like kinds of lore that ended up in the
100%.
canon throughout its series. I mean, he did like Among Us lore as well, right? But
Which is incredible.
Yeah. And so he also did the Backrooms lore.
Yep.
Right?
Which again is incredible.
Yeah. But it was not nearly as popular as FNAF.
Here's the thing with FNAF.
Yeah.
I've never played any of the FNAF games.
Of course you're not.
But all I know-
You're a little pussycat.
Playing FIFA. Okay. But all I know for FNAF is watching his theories.
Okay.
And
I mean, same, kind of. That's why I had, like, the knowledge to watch the FNAF movie.
Same.
Yeah,
Same. When I watched it, I was just like, oh, I know what that is.
That's from MatPat.
And the people I was watching it with were like, how do you know this? You've never played any of the games. I was like, have you never watched Game Theory?
Yeah. Have any of your friends, except for me, never watched Game Theory?
There's quite a few, actually. The Heathens.
Because this whole topic sparked from a lunch conversation.
Absolutely.
I
can't remember which one it was, but it was... I can't remember which theory we were talking about.
It was February 27th, 2025 at 1:35 p.m. Pacific Standard. I was going to say Eastern Standard.
Jesus Christ. What were we doing having lunch at 4:30?
I don't know.
No, it would be the other way.
No, yeah, that would be the other way. It would be like early
9:30.
morning. Yeah.
Or
like,
10:30, whatever.
Yeah, right when I come in.
Right?
Yeah.
So next honourable mention is the Minecraft lore series.
Yes.
Because
Love
a game
that.
basically has no lore
Yeah.
apparently has a lot of lore.
I mean, okay, do you think, right, and we've talked about the Minecraft movie in our episode that was lost, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll incorporate, because, I mean, MatPat was in the FNAF movie,
Yep.
right? So do you think that they'll incorporate his lore or him in the Minecraft
That'd be
movie?
great if he made an appearance as like as a creeper or something.
Well, creepers don't talk, so
It could be a talking creeper.
Do they have talking creepers in Minecraft?
I don't know. It sounds like a theory.
A game! We're having too much fun with this.
Oh, I'm having a great time. And that's not just the
Same.
whiskey talking.
Right. All right.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
segue.
Segue.
How James Bond is a high-functioning alcoholic.
Oh.
So this
I
one isn't
did-
a MatPat theory, it's a Santi theory. But I still had to shout it out because my obsession with James Bond.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Full disclosure, I have not heard of that one, right? But I think he has done James Bond theories before, like multiple. Or is that the only one?
No, that's the only one. So he hadn't done one because... So actually, he was going to do one, and I think he hinted at it, that he was going to do a connected universe of how the James Bonds actually lead onto each other.
Yeah.
But he never got around to it. Bit like Doctor Who episode 3 never came out.
Has MatPat ever done a Doctor Who?
He's done 2. And it was supposed to be a trilogy, but he never released episode 3. It was actually a long-running joke for a while of like, this is as rare as episode 3 of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so considering that I'm a new Doctor Who fan, right? I recently just got into it. That's probably why I haven't watched any of his theories
Plus,
on it.
this was like episode 3 of film theory. So it was really early on.
But then by that time, Doctor Who has already had like 40, 50 years of history.
I think when he released it, I think it was still Matt Smith.
Oh, yeah.
So it was either Matt Smith or Capaldi.
So MatPat for Matt Smith. Hey! Anyway,
let's just have a look and see where's the channels. I'm just doing some research in the library. Just bear with me a moment.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, be careful out there.
What do you mean? Oh, it was literally the second episode.
Damn.
Can a Doctor Who doctor actually exist?
Oh.
Just before the truth about Jon Snow. So you have Harry Potter, Doctor Who, and then Game of Thrones. That tells you what time. This was 9 years ago.
Damn.
So taking us all the way back to 2014.
Well, can a Doctor Who doctor actually exist? I mean, well, it is his regenerations are rooted in science, where all cells are replaced all at once, and we do that a lot every day. We replace cells every day, not quite as fast as the Doctor, but I would say it is possible.
Sounds like a gene theory.
But that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Except we're going to continue because we haven't finished yet.
Yes.
So the last 2 shout-outs. Because style theory,
yes.
As I was saying to Gerard, I'm definitely not the target audience for style theory.
Yeah.
I literally
What do you mean? It's not like you wear the same exact thing to work every single day.
No, not necessarily to work. I have variations to work, but in my outside of work life, it's Manchester United shirt and jeans.
Exactly.
And that's it. So at work, I wear jeans with something that's not Manchester United related.
Well, because you can't. It's just a shirt, right? It's just a shirt.
Theory.
But and then you wear some kind of flannel over it, or a sweater or a jacket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there is variation.
Anytime I come over to your house, Nick, even if it's like your weekend, even if it's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, right? I would see you wearing the exact same thing.
Some variation of Manchester United shirt, and usually red.
Yes.
Today's different because it's a blue one. But
yeah, but I can't really say anything because my shirts. So I have a shirt right now that says the periodic table, and it's Tetris.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I saw the periodic table. I didn't notice it was Tetris. That's cool.
See, yeah. So I got this in New York City.
Nice.
And I always have, either like a spandex shorts, slippers, or shoes, and then some variation of like a silly, goofy, scientific shirt.
Not wrong with that.
So
nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
So
I can't really speak for style.
The very first style theory episode was about killer heels.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, so you did watch it?
Yeah.
Because you said you hadn't watched the style theory.
I hadn't watched it, but I saw it.
So you saw that it existed.
Yeah, because MatPat did he did a whole announcement.
Oh yeah,
about it. So
and he did a similar thing with food theory where he released like 5 episodes in the first one just so that they were out there. So, but the very first one was about killer heels, and he literally had the now host of Style Theory, Amy, bring in various types of shoes, and then they hit fake skulls to see if they could actually cause damage, and the stilettos actually would kill someone.
That's fair because I've seen people in stilettos and those look like murder weapons, to be quite honest with you.
Well, do you know what stiletto means in Italian?
What does it mean?
Little knives. So they are actually, it checks out.
That checks out, yeah.
You could also do a relative amount of damage with a wedge if you hit them with it multiple times.
Yes.
But, and then
any
the last,
shoe that has I think you can do damage with a freaking point shoe for all I care.
Yeah, the only one that you wouldn't be able to do damage with is a flip-flop. That would literally just...
Or Crocs,
I mean, you could probably bitch slap someone with... Oh, sorry. Slap someone with a flip-flop.
Not with Crocs. I think Crocs would be too soft.
Well, the Crocs you could do damage because of all the bloody bedazzling that people put on them, so that would probably do damage.
But that's just a theory.
A Croc theory.
We're going to do this throughout the episode, and you guys are going to be so annoyed.
But deal with it.
Yes, deal with it.
And then last shout-out is to an entire channel. It's the GT Live channel.
Yes.
Because not only was it so influential when he was streaming himself, but even... the current iteration.
Yeah.
Although I did have a bone to pick with them last week because
Why?
They did a March Madness style horror game villain.
Oh,
like
okay.
so they had a bracket of horror game villains, and they were going back and forth.
Yeah.
And have you ever played Undertale?
Yes, like partially.
So
Yeah.
I never played it. I watched Jacksepticeye play it.
Yeah.
But Sans.
Yeah, the main character.
Speaking of game theory memes, Sans is Ness. Great song. But Sans is like all powerful, can control time, like all sorts of things.
Yes.
And they voted him out against some stupid character that drives an ice cream van because he would just run him over. And
The
it's
fact
like,
that you don't even know the name of that character anymore.
and it really pissed me off because they went against their own logic so many times. And that infuriated me because do you know who ended up going to the final?
Who?
Was the Baba Yaga from Cooking Companions.
Okay.
And the dog from, what's the game called? It's like a Duck Hunt ripoff where the guy comes out of the screen and shoots a kid with a pistol.
Okay.
They made it to the final because the dog had a gun.
And who won?
The Baba Yaga. Because she had regeneration powers. But it's like Sans literally controls the universe.
Sans is, I would say, comparable to like Doctor Who reference the Toy Maker.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He controls reality as he sees fit. Or even like the aliens from The Matrix.
Yeah,
right? They control your reality. And so, like, if that's not the most powerful villain, then who is?
Absolutely.
A freaking Baba Yaga who can regenerate? That's the Doctor.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like, they went across certain characters and just like, oh, we can't have that power because otherwise they just win everything if they were a god.
Were they were they trying to like do this objectively with like a chart or like some kind of guideline?
Well, I mean, it was subjective. It was opinion based. So obviously there were people.
That's worse because because they but
that's
they're
it's
not
like
going off of a chart.
It's like with March Madness where it's like each bracket goes down into different battles. And in real life, obviously, it's objective because they play each other.
Yeah.
But there's no way to do it objectively because there's no like horror film Super Smash Brothers.
Okay, that's
or
fair.
horror game Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
So they had to do it subjectively. But there were some of them where they were really talking about it.
Yeah.
And then the one with Sans, this is the reason it pissed me off.
Yeah.
Is because they didn't even take 10 seconds. They literally just went, no, this character would win, and moved on. And it's like...
Sans would like freaking eliminate you in a like you remember when Thanos got the Reality Stone for the first time?
Oh yeah, and he was just like turning people into ribbons.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Sans would be the kind of person to do that.
And even if they were talking about the dog with the sodding gun, he had that Gaster Blaster thing that would do like 9,999 damage.
Exactly.
Like so anyway.
Anyway.
But enough about my gripes about the channel because I do think they're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Like she just did a stream. She was streaming until
Stephanie?
Ash.
Oh.
No, the new host
Oh, okay.
Of
I thought Stephanie was still on.
No, she hasn't been on for years.
Oh, damn.
She stepped down like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't watched Game
To be fair, they did have a child, so that's a reason.
that's fair.
She was looking after the kid.
Okay.
So, but Ash did a stream where she wouldn't stop streaming until she bowled a perfect game in Wii Bowling. And it was a 9.5-hour stream.
Damn.
So,
I mean, that sounds like a skill issue to me, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I don't know how good you are at Wii Bowling, but
I'm very good at Wii Sports, right?
but what about specifically Wii Bowling?
Don't know about Wii Bowling. I've played it once or twice. I mean, I got pretty good, at Wii Bowling, but I mean, I'm more of a tennis player at Wii.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at Wii games, and I'm terrible at bowling. So,
How about
Anyway.
how about real life bowling?
oh, I'm terrible at bowling.
But that's just a theory, a sports theory.
That's a real life fact about how terrible I am. That's just a
Anyway.
fact. A real life fact.
So how do you want to do like the ones that we do top 5? Like, do you want to like get my number 5 and your number 5, and then we go up from there?
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
going to go back and forth. Now, mine aren't in any particular order. So I can go either way. I can go up, down, sideways, in the middle.
So here's number 5, right?
Okay.
And it's food theory.
Oh.
Right. I had to make sure that I included a food theory there, and there was 2 that I couldn't pick from. So one I just put to the side for some kind
Just
of
in cases.
Yeah, just in cases, right? And my food theory number 5 is how long can you survive locked in a grocery store?
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah,
I like that
because Mr. Beast put out a video, right? And we're not gonna be fondly talking about Mr. Beast. I used to be a big fan of his, but he's like all the allegations about Beast games came out. And no longer a big fan. In fact, yeah.
Yep.
So moving on. So he had somebody, like one of his contestants, stay locked in a grocery store for I think like as long as he wanted, and he got like some $10,000 a day.
Yeah.
That he stayed there, but like I think every couple weeks or so. Whenever Jimmy would come into the grocery store, he would have to give up like a certain amount of items.
Fair.
Right, I think it's $10,000 worth of items from that grocery store
To
that
get
he has,
the $10,000.
Yeah, and he had a strategy. He had to strategize by like giving away the perishable stuff first.
Yeah. Yeah, get rid of the rotten vegetables.
Yeah, and he could just keep the canned stuff,
Yeah.
And so that's largely what MatPat's theory, like revolved around. But he took it to another level. What if it was a zombie apocalypse and you only had a grocery store to go off of?
Yeah, you couldn't leave.
Yeah, and you couldn't leave. Yeah, because zombies are banging on your door.
But didn't he end up making it like 64 years or something like that?
Something like that. It was a ridiculously long time. And, a lot of the stuff that he researched was actually logical, especially some of the stuff that aren't perishable, the canned stuff. They can last like indefinitely.
Yeah.
And it's and they last a surprisingly long time, and that's why you can survive like some 60 plus years.
Well, he also had it so that the seeds from the vegetables he was replanting.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, so that's why I was hooked throughout the entire time because like there was like action music, and stuff like that. And it was as if like MatPat was actually living it.
Yeah.
And so that's
it did get to the point where he was surviving off like ketchup.
Yeah.
For a couple of years.
Yeah. Which is I mean, when you think about it, it was like it's so morbid to think about because then when you've run out of food after like 60 some years and you're still not dead.
Yeah.
Like you think about it, right? You know that you're approaching your own death.
Yeah.
And so you come to less of a dilemma about food and stuff, but more of a moral dilemma. Do you just kill yourself? You survived all this time. You haven't really lived.
Well, it wouldn't be a problem for me because I'm 457,000 million years old. So,
but that's just a theory. A Nick's age theory. I swear to you, Nick, somebody's gonna find that out
eventually.
Yeah. But anyway,
it's going to be like another.
All these last Thursdayism references too. It's like when has the timeline reset for Nick?
When was last Thursday?
Yeah, exactly.
But another honorable mention I should have done I just realized I didn't even consider putting this in, even though I thought about it weeks ago.
Okay,
and it was going to be one of my choices.
Okay,
was the who wins it, whose line is it anyway?
Oh,
and the reason I bring it up is because MatPat created a whole new range of points. Because Drew Carey gave someone an infinite amount of points repeating. Or something like that. So he had to come up with like a carrionaire, or like instead of a millionaire, a carrionaire version of points. Okay. And that would be the, like my age. He'd have to come up with a...
That's interesting because that made up like unit of measurement is going to come up in one of my top 5. Ooh, yeah. Fair. All right, so move on to your number 5.
So I'll do my food theory one then, since you did yours. Captain Crunch is an imposter.
Okay. Oh yeah, because he only has 3 stripes, doesn't he?
Well, it's a multi-part theory. So not only is Captain Crunch a criminal, potentially even a murderer.
Okay.
But he's not even a captain; he's an ensign or ensign.
How is
because, like you said, the 3 stripes.
Well, no, 3 stripes wouldn't make you an ensign. Ensign.
It's ensign, whatever it is.
Because I watch Star Trek, that's why I know it's ensign.
Anyway.
So he would be a commander crunch or like first officer crunch.
Well, it's because there's 3 different stripes. Mm-hmm. So there's 4 different stripes because the 4th stripe is a captain.
Yeah.
So there's commander, ensign, and something else. Mm-hmm. And the
Lieutenant
highest
commander?
level he made it. It might have been. But the highest he made it was ensign.
How?
With the 3 stripes. Because he has varying amounts of stripes.
Yeah.
He has 1, he has 2, he has 3, but he never has 4. And there was actually, they asked a naval officer actually put out a statement saying that not only would he not have enough stripes, but there has never been a Captain Crunch registered with the United States Navy.
Well, yeah, I would imagine
now
so.
or in history.
Okay.
So he's a murderer because he potentially killed John Lafoot, which was his rival.
Okay.
I don't know. You're like 6 months old, so you
Yeah.
never saw the old Captain Crunch adverts. And I hadn't moved here yet, so I never saw them either. But he was kind of like a Plankton figure, where he was trying to steal the Captain
The
Crunch.
Krabby Patty recipe.
Or like
you know,
the
that
Trix
was
rabbit who could just go to the bloody supermarket and buy the Trix bloody cereal, but he never did. He was trying to steal it from the children.
You know. Okay, that reminds me of two things. Because I was gonna also add the Krabby Patty secret formula theory for food theory, but I decided against it because it was SpongeBob is overused. And also,
Is it, though?
yeah, and well, probably not. But also, that Liam Neeson scene in Ted, where or Ted 2, where he tries to buy a box of Trix, and he's like, "I'm led to believe that Trix are
Only
exclusively for children." And he's like, and he was telling this teddy bear played by Seth MacFarlane was like, he was like, "So when I leave out of this grocery store, I won't be followed."
Right?
I won't forget what you've done here for me today. Still in my mind.
Bless him.
Yes.
So he may or may not have murdered John LaFoot.
Okay.
There was a
Did
band
he shot him
of-
in LaFoot?
There was a group of misfit children who have suddenly disappeared from the commercials
Yeah.
after like 50 years, and they
Okay.
kept changing. So it's like, did you abandon these children? And then he also had
That's dark.
a dog called Sea Dog,
Okay.
who has suddenly disappeared
Damn.
and hasn't tweeted because apparently the Sea
Not
Dog could
the
tweet,
dog.
and the dog has disappeared. And
Yikes.
the only statement that Captain Crunch made, because Captain Crunch has a Twitter as well
Yeah.
for some reason, was Sea Dog is happily on land.
Oh.
And that's it. You should watch this episode. It's dark. It is dark.
I did not know that food theory could get that dark because I watched like the first few episodes, made it to like the McDonald's Sprite theory,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, there's some
Yeah.
McDonald's theories that are crazy. The McDonald's
Yeah.
man theory, that's crazy.
Dude, I watched because he taste tested it with like Amy, I think it was Amy.
Yeah.
He taste tested it and saw if there was a difference between McDonald's Sprite and like just regular Sprite, and he's like, no, there's not a difference.
Now, there is a difference with the Coke, because Coke has a
Yeah,
special
Coke
deal
was in a
with...
stainless steel container. Yeah, there's a
But no,
difference.
legitimately with McDonald's, because when Ray Kroc first acquired McDonald's, they had
You
a
should watch
special
The
deal.
Founder. It's one of my underrated episodes.
Do it.
Yes.
Watch Underrated as well.
Yes.
They had a special deal with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Where Coca-Cola will provide the syrup and everything to make the Coke taste better at McDonald's.
To be fair,
And that's not just a theory.
to be fair, that was not mentioned in the movie The Founder, right? But if you're looking for a brief history on Ray Kroc, you should watch it because it's how he like just pretty much pulled the rug from under the McDonald's brothers.
Yeah.
You know. So
Well, you know why
Yeah.
it wasn't in the movie, right?
why?
Because it's something they just found out about.
I'm moving on, Nick. Moving on to my number 4. It's game theory.
Oh,
Because my top 2 are both film theory.
fair.
Right. And it's his lore on Lily's Garden.
Great episodes.
Wonderful episodes.
Great
Because,
episodes.
because, okay, look, I've been watching like these crazy mobile ads for as long as I can remember. Right. And I was like, there has got to be like a way that all this is connected. So imagine my surprise and excitement when I saw that MatPat had done a game theory on Lily's Garden.
Not only telling you the timeline.
Right. From these like little snippets of like ridiculous ads that don't seem to match each other, but somehow Matt makes them like connect.
And it's funny because the game is just a bloody tile matching
Yeah,
game.
it's no better than Candy Crush.
Yeah.
You know. So all this lore, and I found myself also like addicted to one of these games because whenever
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, whenever I add a new topic to the wheel, Nick, because I'm not like paying like for their
so the
for
ads
the
pop
wheel.
up?
Yeah, the ads pop up, but they force you to play it before you can exit out.
Oh, I've had those ads before.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And so I got addicted to playing them. And so I would just add a topic out of. But anyway, moving on from that. Yeah. So Lily's Garden has a really dark, twisted theory, and I suggest you watch it.
It really does.
It is. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's like several murders for some reason.
Yeah, well, there's murders, but then the people come back to life, and then
Right.
there's
It's a
fake
soap opera.
pregnancies. But then there's a theory that it's not actually real.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's why it is in my number 4 spot.
Nice. So moving on to like I said, these could be in any order.
Yeah.
Pick a number 1 or 2.
1.
So, my episode is titled "The Tragic End of Pokemon Go,"
Oh.
and it's how Pokemon Go is the prequel to the mainline Pokemon games, and how the Pokemon War was between Valor, Instinct, and Mystic.
Okay.
And the character of Willow is an old man in later games.
Okay.
But the theory that rare candy is rare because people didn't like the idea of grinding up Pokemon, which is
Okay.
how you get XP in Pokemon Go,
Yeah.
and thus became rare.
I remember my obsession with Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I never got into it because the village that I was living in England, because this was when I moved back to England.
Yeah. Is
Was
it called
like
20?
no,
20 Lincolnshire?
no. But it was like there was nothing in the village, and I would have had to go like 4 miles to do anything in Pokemon Go.
Okay.
And I was just like, I can't be bothered. I just can't
Fair
be
enough.
bothered.
Fair enough.
So I never really got. I can definitely see the hype. And if I was here in Vegas, I would have been all over
Yeah,
that.
nonstop.
All over that.
Would you probably have been doing it at work? Like during lunchtime, you'd just be hunting for Pokemon around our building?
No, of course not. Yes, probably.
You would just go to a random person's desk, like, "Hey, don't mind me. It was said that there was a Pikachu here, so
I want to take a Pikachu.
yeah." Oh no,
Well,
that's an HR case.
Well, here's the thing. Back then, I would have been in sales, so I'd have just been like, "Oh, I'm going cold calling. I need to go to this business to go and set up a meeting with them."
And then the whole time you're just driving around the block
Playing
looking for
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
So I would have been able to get out of it. But it's a really fascinating episode, and unfortunately, literally because this happens all the time with his theories.
Okay.
It's like the video game creators, especially Scott Cawthon with FNAF.
FNAF.
Must see his release schedule and just release a bit of information that ruins the theory, like
Oh
the
my
day
God.
after he uploads, because
Okay.
one of the key parts of the theory was based around Ditto, and what was the Niantic, whatever the
Oh my
company
God.
was called that released Pokemon Go,
I don't even know.
literally put Ditto into the game the day after he released the theory.
Oh.
But even without that, the theory still holds, in my opinion.
Okay,
So-
that's fair. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that theory because like I don't watch I watch more film theory than game theory, right? But that is a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
Like where does he come up with this?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, speaking of
fascinating.
Pokemon, there were 2 other Pokemon theories that could have potentially made this list.
Yeah.
If I hadn't had to narrow it down from 550 theories. One of them was about how did you kill your rival's Rattata or Raticate
Yeah.
in the original Pokemon games?
Oh.
Because that's been a theory since like the 90s.
Yeah.
And then the other one
I
was
do
about
remember something like that. Yeah.
the other one was about how Mewtwo, with Mewtwo's cloning, a human was cloned, and it was Blaine's daughter,
Okay.
and he lost his daughter, so he was trying to keep her alive by cloning her.
Dude, I just keep
That was a
thinking-
dark theory.
I just keep thinking about the Pokemon episodes I watched with Meowth. Is that?
That's me.
Was that the Team Rocket's Pokemon?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Team Rocket's blasting off again.
He was such a ridiculous character.
Have you ever seen the episode about how he learned to talk?
Yeah.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
It's such a sad episode.
Don't remind me, please.
It's devastating. Pokemon got dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I would rather just think about, going through trouble and making it double.
Team Rocket's blasting off again.
Anyway, so moving on to number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 is a game theory. The Backrooms lore.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So
Incredible.
Yes. When I first found the Backrooms series from MatPat,
Yep.
I did not know what the Backrooms were. I did not see the original episodes. I did not see the original photo. And then suddenly people were posting lore and shiz about about the back rooms, and I was like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
And so MatPat's summary of it was very useful. So for those of you who don't know, there was a picture posted on, I think it was 4chan, or it was like some kind of creepy website about it is a picture of like this liminal space. It's like endless beige walls, fluorescent lighting.
Well, the original was actually just an office in like Minnesota.
Yeah.
And they were about to tear it down, and someone posted a picture, and it was these yellowed walls with carpet.
Yeah.
It's like every office that you can imagine, except with yellow walls.
Yes.
But then someone extrapolated it.
Yes, and they wrote a creepypasta.
Yeah.
That is like that describes the eerie feeling that you have walking through this kind of space, and that has built up into the trend of liminal space, right? And they explored other stuff like abandoned water parks, for example. Right.
Well, because it's true. It's like even if the office isn't abandoned, have you ever walked through an office that you don't belong in?
Yeah, no, I have.
It's weird. Or like when you're in school and you go to a school that you don't go to.
Yeah.
You don't. Like it feels wrong.
Just imagine our office, but without all the people and without all the decorations on the desks, right?
There's no exits.
No exits, and then it's just an endless corridor of like the cubicles.
Yeah.
And the lights are just always just flickering.
Yeah.
Windows are closed or even blacked out
and
or
then
non-existent.
Adding to that is the whole time jumping.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's a monster chasing you.
Yes.
Or multiple monsters.
Yeah. I think it was like built on the lore when there was a YouTuber who created a short film about the back rooms. That's when like really the lore
it was
of the
Kane Pixels, right?
Yeah, King Pixels. Yeah, or Kane.
Kane,
Yeah. Kane Pixels. Yeah. So he created the original short film called The Backrooms. It was a group of friends who were trying to make a short film, and then he no clips. Is it called a no clip? Yeah.
Well,
it's
not officially called no clipping, but that's what MatPat equates it to.
Yeah. So he no clips the reality and finds himself in the back rooms, and that's when a monster is chasing him. Yeah. So his theory on chasing or like outrunning and surviving the monster was the first video I saw, and it was awesome. And then the lore got deeper. Yeah. And then it became like, oh, this was like a test from like DARPA or like NASA or whatever to create like a big space inside a smaller space.
Infinite storage.
Yeah, infinite storage. Just borrow the TARDIS, man. Come
Basically.
on.
Yeah, exactly. Come on now.
Yeah. The Doctor has already done this.
Do you not watch MatPat's second film theory? I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So you're third, Nick.
So moving on to film theory, since you went with... Oh, no, that would be it. That was a film theory, isn't it?
That was...
So...
Oh, yeah, that was film. I don't know why I labeled it as a game theory. What the frick?
So do you have 3 film theories?
No. It was a game theory because it was a video game. The Backrooms was a video game.
No, he's equating it to exist as a video game. But all of the videos have been on film theory.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just remember the Backrooms. I think it was,
Well, people have made video games about it now.
Yeah.
But originally it was a video.
Okay. All right.
So
I might have 3 film theories.
Jesus.
I was obsessed with film theory, okay?
Well, I'll jump into my game theory then, since it seems like you've exhausted all of your game theories.
Okay.
And especially because I'm pretty sure, since we were talking beforehand, we might have one that's the same.
Okay.
So, how World of War almost prevented the coronavirus.
Oh. World of War.
World of Warcraft, sorry. World of Warcraft.
Yeah, World of Warcraft.
Yeah, because I was thinking of the Call of Duty World of War.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was World of Warcraft.
Wow.
So I'm going to read, because as you can see, this is quite a lengthy one. Because
good Lord.
I rewatched the episode because I wanted to make sure I got all the stuff right.
Okay.
So were you a World of Warcraft kid? Were you a wower?
I'm not a wower, but...
or were you a loller?
No, I did not play League of Legends a lot. I was more of a Dota kid.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
And StarCraft, too. That was a big thing back then.
So,
yes.
In 2005, World of Warcraft released, and I'm going to butcher this because it's a made-up language, a Zul'Gurub raid.
Okay.
Where the final boss, Hakkar the Soul Flayer, had a debuff called Corrupted Blood.
Okay.
Now, the Corrupted Blood inflicted 250 to 300 points of damage every few seconds.
Okay.
But... inside, it was recommended for level 60 players. So at that point, because that was the highest, that was the level cap at that point.
Yeah.
So you would have 4,500 hit points at that point.
Yeah.
So 250 to 300 hit points
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. You just have to, prioritize your healing. But, while you were in the arena, it was contagious to other players. So if you got it, if I got it and you were fighting next to me, then it would go to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, once the players left the area, the debuff wore off.
Ooh.
The trouble was, there are certain classes of characters that could take animals.
Okay.
The animals didn't wear off.
Oh.
So the animals were going back into the regular world.
Damn.
And infecting other people outside of the arena.
That's insane.
So just like the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So at the time when it happened...
How does that make so much sense?
Yeah.
What the hell?
And this was in 2005.
Yeah.
So it spread throughout the World of Warcraft exactly like COVID. It even spread to NPCs. But then NPCs became asymptomatic carriers because they weren't affected by it. They just had the symptoms. Or they just had the virus.
Yeah.
But because they were NPCs, they weren't programmed to act as if they were dying. So when people went near the NPCs to buy things in the shop or whatever, or get quests, all of a sudden they'd become infected.
What?
So it infected...
I need to watch that.
It infected 2 million players almost immediately.
That's crazy.
So let me just read through this. So after the outbreak, it killed almost exclusively lower level players, but there were people, just like in real life, who were trying to be altruistic healers and keep people alive at the expense of themselves.
Yeah, the first responders.
Yeah, exactly. And
wow.
Then there were other people who were going in the opposite direction.
The conspiracy theorists.
No, not the conspiracy theorists. The people who took advantage.
Oh.
They would purposefully infect people.
Damn. Oh.
So that they could steal their loot.
There are people who did that.
Yeah.
My goodness.
So, but after it happened, after in not COVID, but after it happened, Blizzard were contacted by the CDC.
Yeah.
So that they could get the data from World of Warcraft to see how people acted in the game because it was such a realistic simulation.
Damn.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah, so I would recommend it. It's literally called How World of Warcraft Almost Prevented the Coronavirus.
Damn.
So you should check it out. It's fascinating, especially having lived through COVID.
Yeah.
It was fascinating.
Yeah, I lived through COVID when granted, I was 1 month old, but,
I was 5,303,012
add
at that point.
to the puzzle. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, so that's insane.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, my mind is just blown, like, even from the summary of that. Damn. Okay, I got to watch that.
But that's not just a theory. That's real life.
Yeah. It's kind of like the endless like comparisons between the Simpsons episodes and real life too.
Because they keep predicting shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, predicting.
Too late. Anyway,
is it too late now to say sorry?
Anyway, so my number 2. This was one of my favorite episodes because MatPat legitimately crashed out like towards the end of this episode, and it was just the funniest thing ever. And it was film theory. How big is Scrooge McDuck's money bin? And how much gold does he have there?
That's a classic.
Yeah. So this was sponsored by Disney XD, right? And there was like footage of him actually swimming through a pile of gold coins, and like just the whole time when he was like given all this evidence, right? And he was just like, oh my God, like, there was an abundance of evidence for this theory that he had to split it into 4 different methods, right? So, and then towards the end, right? Like you've watched an entire theory episode, you think it's gonna be towards the end. No, he's like, like he finally calculated like how much the gold would weigh, and he like also read a paper that was like the packing of hard ellipsoids, right? the efficiency of the packing of hard ellipsoids, right? And it was a legitimate research paper from somebody who works like in, I don't know, geometry, right? And he's like, I had to search hard for this paper because it's not just a solid block of gold that we're calculating; it's a bunch of coins, right? And so at the end of the episode, right, he finally calculated the weight. Right, he's like, and he was like laughing. This was the start of his crash out. He's like, and then I would just multiply this by the price of gold, and that would be the end, right? And then like Disney XD would give me all of their love and support, right? And he's like, but they were not measured in like the avoirdupois pound or ounce that we are familiar with, but the Troy ounce, right? He's like, nothing about this show is ever easy. And so he was crashing out. He was banging his head on his desk because he was like, so an avoirdupois ounce is lighter than a Troy ounce, but a Troy pound is heavier than an avoirdupois pound. Make it make sense. And so
Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, this was probably where I got like, because when I crash out like that. I
can confirm.
Yes, I don't always crash out, but when I crash out, it's a mixture of MatPat and Brennan Lee Mulligan doing his monologue on Game Changers. He's like, I see what you're doing here. Okay, I do.
I see what you're doing to me.
Yeah, I just. That's how I crash out. So if I ever crash out on this show, that's when I start monologuing.
Mission accepted.
Yes. So make me crash out, Nick. That's a dare. But anyway, so in the end, he got there.
So that reminds me, there's 3 game theory episodes that reminds me of. 2 of them are Pokemon episodes, which is getting a lot of love today.
We have 9 minutes left, by the way.
Sod it. it. So one of them, he was trying to figure out how old Ash was.
Yeah.
In the anime.
Okay.
Which he had a mental breakdown because the age resets.
Yeah.
After a certain amount of seasons.
Okay.
And he's like, how can the age reset? He's the same character. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The other one was figuring out what level Ash's Pikachu would be.
I saw a thumbnail for that, and I was like, should I watch this and add it to the list?
I'm pretty sure that both of those had to be split into multiple parts.
Oh my God.
Like, I had to figure out the seasons, and I had to figure out what time of year it was, and I had to figure out where they were going and how far they traveled. And then the other one was figuring out the size of the moon in Super Mario Odyssey.
Yes.
And he's like,
that's awesome.
I used geometry. I used all of these things. I used this ancient Albarundi's method of figuring out, and it doesn't. The maps don't make sense, and nothing lines up. And then he's only
the crash out is real.
He's like 5 minutes into the episode, and he's just like, I'm done. But just because nothing makes sense doesn't mean I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And then he spends the rest of the episode figuring it out.
Well,
so
yeah.
But those crash outs are just hilarious.
And so just to like nod to because you said that they had to make up like a currency. Or
for how whose line is it anyway?
Yeah, for whose line is it? So he was going through like the description of Scrooge McDuck's wealth, which is like 9 multiplijillion, 5 obsquatumatillion, 9 fantastica trillion dollars and 82 cents.
I love those ones.
So but continue.
So
with
my
number
last,
2.
So my film theory, and then like I said, I'm pretty sure we have the same one for the last one. So the title of the episode is How the Mandalorian Proves That the Empire Was Right.
Oh. I mean, so you would have some Empire sympathizers, especially those who find both Kylo Ren and Darth Vader in the mask and suit hot.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe those are called Tumblr Sexy Men, right?
Yes. Have you heard of Ben Swallow? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have.
Yeah. It's the picture of Adam Driver in Star Wars. I think it was 8, where he was just shirtless.
Oh yeah, when they were doing, and I quote because I'm pretty sure this is
the Skype call.
He does. They're doing the Force FaceTime.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, move on.
So, because you've not seen The Mandalorian, right?
I've seen like
bits and pieces.
Yeah,
of it.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've spoiled it for myself because I saw the one where Luke Skywalker appears. I know, but I know the lore of the
Well,
Mandalorian.
no, I'm not sighing because of you. You just spoiled it for everyone else who hasn't watched it.
Oh,
Too late now. It's too late now. You might as well fucking swear. You've already spoiled it.
Well, okay. First of all, that episode where he appears has already been out for like years at this point.
So,
yeah. Okay. Okay.
anyway, so there's a particular episode where Mando is going to collect his bounty, and he doesn't agree with the amount he's being paid. And the guy is like, well, if you have a problem with it, then why don't you just call the government and get them to come and sort it out? And he's just like, that's a joke. They're never going to come out here.
Yeah.
So then there's a guy called the Client,
Okay.
who comes out, and I've actually got his full quote.
Is it Django Fett? No.
No. No, so I can't remember the name of the actor. Oh, Werner Herzog.
Okay.
So quite a well-known actor from way back in the day.
Yeah, that is a familiar name. Yeah.
I'm going to read the quote, and this is where the theory came from.
Okay.
It is a shame. I would do a Werner Herzog accent, but I can't really do the... He's got a very strange quasi-German-American accent, and it's very weird.
Okay.
It is a shame that your people suffered so. Just as in this situation, it was all avoidable. Why did Mandalore
You
resist
just did
our
an
expansion?
accent there.
Available. The Empire improves every system it touches, judged by any metric: safety, prosperity, trade, opportunity, peace. Compare imperial rule to what is happening now. Look outside. Is the world more peaceful since the revolution? I see nothing but death and chaos. Now,
Whoa.
to be fair, he is wearing an Empire sigil, so he is definitely a sympathizer.
Of course.
But if you look at it, as MatPat did, comparing the three systems, so you've got the bureaucracy of the prequel,
Yeah.
you've got the rule under the Empire, and then you've got the Republic in the sequels. Theoretically, if you were a regular Star Wars citizen, and MatPat says, a regular...
An NPC.
An NPC, basically.
Yeah.
Then your life would be better.
With the Empire.
Now, he said, if obviously the rebels wouldn't think so,
No.
because the Empire is shooting at all of your friends.
Yeah.
And he said, now, we do have to take into account the fact that they blew up Alderaan.
Yeah.
But he said, flip that on its head. The rebels blew up the second Death Star.
Oh.
Because the first Death Star, and there's actually a very famous... Have you ever heard of the movie Clerks?
That was one of the underrated episodes I'm going to do in the future.
There you go. But you know the monologue from Clerks, right? Where he's like, the first Death Star, fair enough, it was all soldiers and, it was villains.
See, it's on that list.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's like, but then the second Death Star, it was still under construction.
Yeah.
So it was, it was roofers, it was, they were laying the floor,
Yeah, yeah.
they were putting windows in.
Yeah.
They were all civilians.
Yeah.
So they blew up a planet equivalent of civilians,
That's fair.
just like Alderaan.
Wow. I didn't. Oh.
Yeah.
This is a.
It's a very compelling argument.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should watch it, and you should watch it especially because the thumbnail is a stormtrooper giving a lollipop to Baby Yoda.
Oh my god. You mean Grogu, the child?
Yes, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway.
But at this point, I think he was still Baby Yoda. I don't think his
Okay.
name had been revealed yet.
So, okay. So, that reminds me because when I was maybe 14, I was more Star Wars obsessed than I am now. And I was working on a possible it was just going to be like a small book, the bits of lore that people add that are non-canon.
Yeah.
Right?
The Legends, I think is.
Yeah. I wanted to write my own piece. And so I worked on this thing called Star Wars Origins, where before the Jedi Order was even established, and before this civilization was even advanced enough to travel between star systems, where all of them came from.
Nice.
Yeah. So it started off with this scientist who discovered the midichlorians, right? And it was actually injected into their blood. That's why it's passed off genetically, and they can control the Force.
Here's an interesting... So here's another Star Wars theory for you.
That's an original story right there. Copyright.
Copyright, JavaScript Productions.
Yes.
Oh no, what's our name again?
The JavaScript podcast?
No, what's the umbrella company called again?
Muffin Media.
There you go. Muffin Media, copyrighted.
Yes, exactly.
Another, and I know we're wrapping up here, and we've still got one more.
Yeah, we're for sure going to reach over an hour. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. This is the MatPat Power Hour.
Exactly.
After all. Yeah.
You see, that was the name, and we went over an hour. Perfect.
Yes, exactly.
But there's another Star Wars theory that he did, proving how midichlorians are real.
Yeah. Okay.
And do you know what their real life equivalent would be?
What is?
The mitochondria. The powerhouse of the cell.
Powerhouse of the cell.
This is one of the only bloody things that we remember from school.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they drilled it into our heads.
Well, I mean, if I can harness my mitochondria to, manipulate objects,
Well, because that was
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Everyone has mitochondria in every cell, but not everybody has a lot of midichlorians in their blood.
Best thing, you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
I was literally about to. I was literally about to get there.
Okay.
So,
go on.
he was saying, how there are people that are better athletes and things like that. But by working out and honing your skills, you can increase your count of blood cells, which will increase the mitochondria, which will increase your ability. Now, Anakin Skywalker has a midichlorian count of over 20,000.
Yeah.
Even the maximum regular human being can get to like 2,500. So there's no one that is quite at Anakin Skywalker levels. But if we keep on going with science and with development, who knows where we could be in the future? Because even the basis for the word midichlorians is just mitochondria with like chlorophyll or something like that.
And it's fair too, because the theory goes, right, the mitochondria only became the powerhouse of the cell because a predator cell swallowed a prey cell in like early bacteria, like the earliest life on Earth. It swallowed that cell, and instead of like digesting it, they formed a bond that's like, that's what's it called? It's like when you coexist with like animals, it was like, God, what is it called? Symbiotic relationship.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So they formed a symbiotic relationship.
But that's how I met your mother.
That's what she said.
Anyway, tell me your number one, and we'll see if my theory, my Java theory, is correct, that we picked the same one.
Okay. So, number one is film theory, B-movie memes.
Oh, never mind. You said it was about Willy Wonka.
No, it wasn't about Willy Wonka.
You lied to me.
I didn't lie to you. I referenced Willy Wonka. But look, take a look at this. I actually do have Willy Wonka, Rig the Golden Tickets, on there as backup.
Yeah, that's my number one.
Okay.
So we'll go through yours and then we can do mine.
So, in the early days of the internet, no, I'm just kidding. At least for me, right?
Once upon a time, when the internet was born.
In 2000, 15, 16?
Well, the internet's been around since like the 1980s. What are you talking about?
I know. I was just joking, Nick.
It was created last week. Thursday.
Last Thursday. So, last Thursday when the internet was born in 2016.
Yep.
Right? So, the B-movie memes were rampant, right?
Yep.
B-movie memes.
You could say they were swarming.
Okay. Whatever. B-movie memes, but this happens. B-movie memes, but without the B's.
Yeah.
And then
every time someone says B,
yes,
something happens.
Yeah. And then a lot more memes got looped in. Like, for example, Lazy Towns, We Are Number One, RIP to what's his name?
Ronnie Rotten.
Yeah, Robbie Rotten, Carl Stephenson. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. RIP to him.
Yeah, bless him.
Yeah. He was a legend. But yeah, so the We Are Number One. Anyway, I can't.
We are number one.
I can't mention We Are Number One without singing that jingle. Anyway,
that just reminds me of what was the cat that would play the music?
Bungo Cat.
Yeah. Did you ever see the We Are Number One version of that?
No, I have not. But
I know what to show you after the podcast.
All right. But yeah, so there was this Reddit post, right, that took it to the extreme. Right, so it was like the entire Ice Age pentology, but every syllable spoken plays the entire Toy Story trilogy. But every second or every frame every frame where the color green, or every second or whatever where the color green is in frame, like something, or the entirety, like all the YouTube videos play.
Yeah.
Right. But every like 10 seconds or something. Like every episode of The Simpsons plays.
Yep.
But
and then
like,
every time someone says Homer, SpongeBob starts playing.
No. Every time, every syllable, right? Every syllable of The Simpsons, it plays all of SpongeBob played backwards, right? And at the time that he made that, which was probably close to like 5 or 6, almost 10 years ago now.
Probably.
When he made that, he made that theory. He was like, I don't know if he was crashing out, but he was definitely like getting into like the biggest numbers imaginable.
Yeah.
Because when so it started off slow, right, with SpongeBob. Because at that time, there was only like 3 solid days of SpongeBob, right? I think by now there's probably like 10, 20 days of SpongeBob.
Which, rest in peace. Was it Stephen Hillenburg?
Stephen Hillenburg,
bless
yes.
him.
So during that time, so SpongeBob wasn't that long, so it's probably a lot longer now. But and then he multiplied it.
That's what she said.
I knew that was coming.
That's what she said.
Anyway, so he calculated that for every episode of The Simpsons, and he averaged out the syllables in The Simpsons, right?
Yep.
And then he calculated the freaking amount of videos there were on YouTube, and he came out with a figure that was reasonable, at least at the time, which is 630 million hours of YouTube videos. That number is probably now to 1 billion or more.
Yeah.
Right? Especially with all the shorts that we are uploading.
Yep.
Right? And then he calculated Toy Story, and then he calculated all of the freaking Ice Age pentology.
Yep.
And he came out with a figure of about 8 octillion years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he bragged about the calculator that he had, which is like the TI-84 Silver Edition. Yeah, because it was like preloaded with games or something.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's just a game theory.
Have you got games on your calculator? Do you remember that back in the day, if you got games on your phone?
Yes,
you got
I
games
know.
on your calculator?
Yeah. So now there's a new theory, the games on the calculator. Yeah. For whoever the new host of Game Theory is, there you go.
It's Tom.
Tom.
My fellow Englishman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Dapper
I completely forget. But yeah, so that is why it is my like, number one. We are number one.
We are number one. That has to be done every time you say number one.
Yes, exactly. So that tops my chart because I think that was one of the first, if not the first one that I saw.
Fair.
Right? And it blew my mind just how much he dove into it that I got hooked. And like the way he did the video too, the way he would speak like in like such flowy way.
Yeah.
Right? When the wheel first landed on the MatPat Power Hour,
Hell
first
yeah.
thing I thought of is that B-movie meme episode.
Well, I'm sure it spoke to your inner theatre kid because he is at heart a theatre kid.
Yes.
Like you can even, if
course.
you go back to the early days of Game Theory, which I did, the first videos are videos of him in the theatre.
I know. I saw them.
that video where he's asking that girl out, Jesus Christ, that's still so cringy.
Ugh,
Bless
don't
him.
remind me. My hair's
Bless him.
stand up.
Anyway, before we
Jesus
go
Christ.
way off the deep end, so my last one, which it's already been kind of revealed because I thought we were going to do the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's titled Willy Wonka and the Golden Ticket Scam.
Yes.
So it's based on a fan theory about the probability of all 5 tickets going to white kids. So this leads MatPat down a path of, and I'm reading exactly what I wrote because I must have done really well here, down a path of when and where the film took place.
Okay.
Because, and he brings up a good point, it looks like it's set in Germany. Charlie and his family sound American, but everyone else sounds English. Like his English and MatPat literally says his English for no apparent reason teacher, which has one of my favorite quotes, and I forgot about this until I rewatched the theory. Now the test that we used to take on Thursday about what we learned throughout the week is now going to take place on Monday before we learn it. It's like, what? That's how I used to feel in algebra.
Anytime I remember Willy Wonka, all I remember is Veruca.
Salt.
Yeah. So,
I want that squirrel now.
But Daddy, I want that.
No.
Yeah.
So
I think it fueled my hatred for the English.
Well, this is awkward. Anyway,
move on.
So, where in the world would be able to buy the stuff by comparing it to Coca-Cola, including the frozen out markets such as China, the USSR, and the Arab League of Nations.
Yeah.
And then the buying power, because obviously America, the UK, and Australia would be able to buy more than Ethiopia.
That's true.
You know,
Yeah.
so he landed on a likelihood between 12% and 24%. However, there's a twist.
Ooh, I like a twist.
The real conclusion is the game was rigged all along.
Okay.
Because what's the real question should have been, what's the likelihood of all 5 tickets going to children?
Oh.
Because if you watch the montage of the film, adults are buying. I mean, the president gets a
Yeah.
bloody delivery to the White House.
I never thought about that.
And do you know what the proof is?
What is it?
Slugworth.
His rival?
agent.
Oh no.
No, he works. Slugworth works for Willy Wonka.
What was I? Who was I
So-
thinking? One of the rival chocolate
Well,
companies had like a weird name like that.
Well, Slugworth seems to be a villain, not only because he's wearing a bowler hat in the 70s,
Duh.
but I mean, what is this, Mary Bloody Poppins? Yeah. But he
was only missing an umbrella.
Exactly. He always shows up whenever the kids win. So if you watch when the kids win, like even Charlie hasn't even opened the chocolate bar yet.
Yeah.
And he runs into Slugworth.
That's right. Oh my god.
Yeah. And another thing, and I'm spoiling the theory here,
Yeah.
but another thing is, and I never noticed this until
Yeah.
I watched that episode.
Okay.
Charlie doesn't pick out the chocolate bar. The Candyman does.
He does, doesn't he?
He says, "Why don't you try a regular one this time?"
Whoa.
Which leads to Slugworth could have gone in there and said, "Hey, give this to the next kid that comes in here."
Look, I only watched like part of this episode.
Rewatch this episode; it's crazy. And then if you want a palate cleanser, watch the one where he goes through all the OSHA violations that that Willy Wonka's chocolate factory has.
He
Because
turns a kid into a blueberry. Come on.
because Willy Wonka ends up paying like $7.5 million a day in fines.
Well, I would imagine because I mean, there's already OSHA violations on the film set.
Yeah.
Right. And especially with how they treated the Oompa Loompa actors.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so
there was actually one of the kids got injured. You
Yeah.
see one of them starts bleeding because the rock that's supposed to be made out of chocolate is an actual rock, and they graze their knee against it and start bleeding.
good lord.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that theory is crazy. Like, and it's crazy because it starts off with the undertones of racism of like 5 white kids,
Yeah.
and then
It blows up into like
Yeah.
this whole. It's rigged.
yeah, because he's like the chance of it being a white kid,
Yeah.
1 in 4. The chance of it being, this other thing, 1 in about 5, 1 in 3.
Yeah.
The chance of it being a child, 1 in 100,
Yeah.
because of Slugworth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn. Well, this has been a very eye-opening episode.
indeed.
Yeah, and we've certainly learned a lot, and I know that I do have some MatPat episodes to rewatch and some newer episodes of Game Theory to watch. And, just an honorable mention to Style Theory. It's a great channel, but, we never really got into it.
Yeah, we're not the intended audience. There are
Yeah.
some, like, the sunscreen episode is great, the shaving episode is great.
Yes.
But when it starts getting into makeup,
Yeah.
no disrespect to people that wear makeup, because, you do you, but I
This
have
was-
never worn makeup in my life.
This was largely the reason I was watching like video games and streams during like 26 and also MatPat during like 2016 to like 2018 because that was also the advent of like the makeup beauty guru YouTubers,
Absolutely.
Like, a day in my life, my skincare routine. Ugh.
Get ready with me.
Get ready with me. Anyway, but so tell us. Oh wait, hold on. What is your
Question of the day would
Yeah.
be like, what
question of the week?
What is your favorite?
Yeah.
What is your favorite one of MatPat's videos? Because
I was gonna dive right into it. I was like, I already know your question of the week. So
Yeah.
So what is your favorite MatPat episode? And if you're not a fan of the theory channels,
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
But anyway, that's just a theory. A Java theory.
A Java. I was gonna
Stay
say,
caffeinated.
what the?
It's raining tacos